Have you ever thought about how a simple act of kindness can change someone's life? Hello. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below. I've always believed that there's a reason why things happen, even when we can't understand why. I didn't know that that particular day when I decided to bring presents to the orphanage would cause a profound change in my life. It was a sunny spring morning and I was excited. The sky was cloudless. The birds sang and the flowers bloomed. I picked up the gifts I had chosen very carefully: toys, clothes, books, and even some sweet things. It is my intention that the children of the orphanage have a special day full of joy and smiles. As he walked through the streets of the city, he contemplated the familiar landscape, but at that moment everything seemed more lively and lively. I was welcomed by the director of the orphanage, a kind, middle-aged woman named Donna Marta, when I arrived there. After expressing her sincere gratitude to me, she led me to the room where the children were gathering. An explosion of enthusiasm enveloped me when I entered. The children ran around, playing and laughing, their eyes shining with joy when they saw the gifts I had brought. Seeing them so cheerful warmed my heart. It's very rewarding to know that I was contributing to joy. A strange feeling began to invade me as I distributed the gifts. It was as if someone was watching me, as if something was constantly drawing my attention. That's where I saw him. A boy was in the corner of the room, a little away from the other children. He had deep blue eyes and dark hair, about 8 years old. Something in it made me stop, something that seemed very familiar to me. For a moment I felt like the ground was disappearing under my feet when my heart jumped. That boy had a lot of resemblance to my husband. My husband and I, Paul, had no offspring. We had tried for years, but unfortunately we failed. We came even closer to the pain of this silent loss, but there was always a shadow of sadness in our hearts. Besides, now there was before me a boy who could easily be his son. The resemblance was impressive. I approached slowly, trying to control the storm of feelings that threatened to dominate me. The boy looked at me with curiosity and a certain reserve, as if he was used to staying away from people. I smiled as I kneeled in front of you. "Hi, I'm Clara." "What's your name?" I asked kindly. He hesitated a little before giving a reply. "I'm Lucas." "Lucas, how old are you?" I went on. He looked at me with those inquisitive eyes and said, "I'm 8 years old." I tried to imagine what he was thinking. Would it be possible that he also experienced the same strange feeling of familiarity as I did? Did he consider me just another stranger among many others? That day, I spent a lot of time with Lucas, playing and talking. He was an intelligent and curious boy, with a passion for adventure books and a special ability to draw. I felt an unexplained connection developing between us every time he spoke or laughed. Moreover, Paul's traces were visible on his face every time he looked at him. At the end of the day, I left the orphanage with a feeling of anxiety. You couldn't keep Lucas away. The resemblance between him and Paul was undeniable. That night I shared my feelings with Paul in the hope that he could understand what I was feeling. Although he was interested, he was also skeptical. What was the probability we found a boy in an orphanage that looked so much like him? I decided to go back to the orphanage the next day. I needed more information about Lucas. I needed to understand why he had such a big impact on me. It seemed that Donna Marta was pleased with my visit again when she received me. "You're back." The gifts they received yesterday made the children very happy. Once again, she expressed her gratitude. "Could you tell me more about Lucas?" Although my heart was beating, I asked. Donna Marta shrugged her forehead but continued to deny it. "Right. One of our most special boys is Lucas. He arrived here when he was only 2 years old. Our information about your family is limited. He was brought here after being found abandoned in a square. Since then, we have been unable to obtain any information about his relatives." When I heard that, my heart tightened. The sad story of Lucas made me think of many possibilities. Could Paul be his father? Although it seemed absurd, the resemblance was surprising. Donna Marta gently allowed me to spend more time with Lucas. I frequently visited the orphanage in the following weeks. My belief that there was something deeper between us grew with each encounter with Lucas. He started sharing his fears and dreams with me. More and more, I felt that Paul was reflected in his expressions and gestures. I began to study Lucas's story further with the aim of finding an explanation for the resemblance. I even hired a private investigator, scrutinized the files, and talked to the oldest staff at the orphanage. I was determined to find out the truth, despite the extensive and often unpleasant search. One day, while looking at pictures of Paul from before, I noticed something that had gone unnoticed before. Paul was next to a woman I didn't recognize in a photograph taken shortly before our meeting. Her expression reminded me of something, but I couldn't identify. Paul was shocked when I presented the image. After a period of contemplation, he stated, "This is Helena. Before we met, she was my girlfriend. You and I ended up just before we met." My mind started working fast. Could Helena be Lucas's mother? And if that was true, what did it mean to us? I kept researching, and now I'm focusing on something new. Soon after Helena had finished with Paul, I discovered that she had moved to another city. After that, she had a son but died tragically in a car accident when Lucas was only 2 years old. Luke was sent to the orphanage because he had no close relatives. The discovery was surprising. Luke was actually Paul's son. A variety of feelings were aroused by the revelation: joy at finally knowing about the connection, sadness at Helena's tragic loss, and a strong sense of responsibility for Luke. Paul was devastated to learn of Helena's death, but also relieved to know the truth about Luke when I told him the discovery. Together, we decided we needed to do something for him. Lucas should be informed that he was not in the world alone. We're starting to adopt a process full of bureaucracy and emotional problems. Lucas had fears and insecurities, despite his curiosity and intelligence. It took him a long time to get used to the concept of having a family, especially one he never imagined. I spent hours talking to him, explaining our relationship and its importance to us. Paul also strived to establish a connection with Luke, telling stories from his childhood and demonstrating that he was there for him. Lucas evolved gradually. He became more confident, more open, and slowly learned to deal with the new world. Lucas transformed our house in the following months. He brought unparalleled joy and vitality. Every laugh, victory, and moment shared reinforced his importance to us. The apparent resemblance to Paul was only superficial. Luke had a great heart and a strong spirit, which inspired us daily. Finally, the adoption process ended, and Lucas officially became part of our family. The journey had been long and often agonizing, but it led to a deep and unbreakable bond between us. The day you brought presents to the orphanage will never be forgotten. Over time, what began as a mere charity act evolved into the most important discovery I've known in my life. Lucas gave us a new motivation to live, love, and stay together. Life has a strange way of surprising us when we least expect it. Moreover, we now know that our family is stronger and more united than ever, despite the fact that we can never predict the future. And it all started with a look from a boy and an open heart to the unexpected. The first days we spent at home with Lucas were full of new discoveries and adjustments. He had become accustomed to the routine of the orphanage, and our home was a completely different setting. We tried to make the transition as smooth as possible, creating a routine that was familiar while adding new features that would help you feel safe and appreciated. I remember one particular afternoon shortly after Lucas moved in. Paul was showing him some old family photos while we were all in the living room. Lucas was fascinated by the stories that were behind each image. He was asking unceasing questions, eager to discover every detail, every little piece of history he could gather to form a better understanding of who we were and where he now belonged. Paul kept a picture of when he was a child, the same age as Luke. Paul handed the photo to Luke and said, "This is one of my favorite photos. I just got my first dog. He was Rex." Lucas looked at the image with admiration. He almost whispered, "He looks like me." His voice conveyed a combination of surprise and joy, as if he was beginning to understand the connections that unite us. Paul swallowed it dry with a lot of emotion, but he smiled and assented. "Thank you, Lucas. You are very similar to me when I was a kid." The new dynamic of the family was built by these precious moments. Although I was aware that adaptation would take time, Lucas seemed to feel safer and more comfortable every day. He began to make friends and participate in extracurricular activities at school. His passion for drawing intensified, and we often found him scratching in his notebooks, creating whole worlds with his vibrant illustrations. However, Luke woke up at night with nightmares and shouting for his mother. Helena's loss had left a profound effect on him, and we understand that it would take time for him to fully recover from the pain that it caused him. Until he fell asleep again, I held him in my arms and murmured words of comfort. Those nights, Paul and I were turning around to make sure that Lucas always had someone by his side when he was overwhelmed by nightly fears. Our ties have strengthened over time. Lucas learned more about his roots and felt more connected to us because of the family stories we shared. We traveled together, exploring new places and creating memories that would form the basis of our family life. I remember we were traveling to a small town in the interior. Paul used to spend the summers in this place when he was a child. He wanted to show Lucas the simple things that made him happy at that time. We spent the day exploring trails, swimming in rivers, and telling stories near the fire. Lucas absorbed every new experience with contagious enthusiasm. "Dad, do you think my mom would have liked this place?" Luke asked one night while we were sitting around the fire. Paul remained silent for a moment, reflecting on Luke's question. "Lucas, I believe so. Helena would have loved nature as much as we did." I was able to see Paul's inner effort to balance the memory of Helena with her need to be strong for Luke. The vulnerability and sincerity of that moment brought us closer as a family. After the trip, we felt a renewal of spirit and a certainty that we were on the right track. Lucas was growing up in an environment where he could feel safe and loved, and our house was more filled with laughter and love. Even with all the joy we found in our new everyday life, we remembered Helena. Even though Lucas has few memories of her, I knew that she played a significant role in his life. Paul and I made the decision to make a small monument in our house. It would be a place for Lucas to visit when he wanted to be close to his mother. We put her image in a beautiful painting with some of the things she adored that Paul still kept. Lucas also had a notebook where he could write or draw when he wanted to express his feelings. For him, this little place became a refuge, a place where he could connect with his roots and feel comfortable when he was sad. Each stage of this journey brought us new obstacles and rewards. Every day, Lucas's strength and resilience inspired us. He became a confident and life-filled boy who spreads joy wherever he passed. The love we shared in our home gave us the assurance that we would be ready to live together as a family, no matter what the future would bring. Clara, have you ever stopped to think about how our lives have changed since that day at the orphanage? Paul asked me a quiet night as we watched Luke sleep. I shaken his hand with a smile. Yes, often. Life has a funny way of leading us where we need to be, even if at first we're not aware of the way. Paul accepted and agreed. Finding Lucas was like rediscovering a part of myself that had disappeared, and seeing him grow up, overcome his fears and become that amazing boy, is a gift we never expected, but now we can't imagine our life without. Every word that Paul said touched me deeply. I was sure he was right. Lucas was a miracle in our lives. Moreover, every day we spent with him offered us the opportunity to form new memories, tighten our ties, and build a life full of meaning and love. Our way here had not been easy. However, every difficulty we faced and overcome had shaped and strengthened us. Moreover, we were prepared to deal with any challenge that the future presented us. The story of Lucas and how he entered our lives is a constant reminder that we can find beauty and purpose even in the most unexpected situations. Moreover, we knew that we would be exactly where we needed to be together, as a family united by love and resilience, as we look to the future. Our life has gradually stabilized into a comfortable routine, but always filled with special and unexpected moments that only an 8-year-old boy can offer. Lucas surprised us every day with his insatiable curiosity and his ability to love deeply. Everyday life has taught us many little things that have made every moment worthwhile. Exploring the city was one of the things we doing together. Lucas had a contagious energy and was always eager to travel. He loved parks very much, especially those with plenty of green space to play and run. We spent whole afternoons in the park taking picnics and enjoying the sun. Those were the hours when he opened up most, talking to other people about his thoughts and aspirations. Lucas was fascinated by planes. He opened his eyes with enthusiasm and looked up at the sky every time he heard the sound of an airplane passing by. "We'll take you to the airport again so you can observe the planes closely." He couldn't describe the joy he felt when he saw the planes take off and land. Paul and I boosted their imagination by telling stories of travel and adventures. In addition to the tours, we created a family tradition of watching movies at night. Every Saturday, we chose a movie to watch together. Lucas loved adventure and fantasy movies, and we also watching the classics that marked our childhood. Through those nights, there was always popcorn, comfortable blankets, and lots of laughter. We deeply appreciate this moment of unity. Lucas had a growing passion for drawing. He had the ability to spend hours creating complex worlds in his drawing notebook. Paul and I tried to encourage and support this impressive talent because he was so young. He had the opportunity to work freely in a small home art studio. One of my greatest pleasures was to see your expression of joy and concentration while drawing. We were also learning to be parents as Lucas adapted to his new life. Every difficulty that arose gave us a new lesson. For example, Lucas was clearly nervous when he had his first day at school at our house. Considering everything he had gone through, it was easy to understand his insecurity. Paul and I did everything we could to reassure him, ensuring that we would be there to help him at every step of the way. I can clearly remember that morning. We woke up early, prepared a special breakfast, and made sure he had everything he needed for his first day. On the way to school, we held her hands and talked about encouragement. Lucas was nervous but also eager to learn new things and make new friends. The first day of class resulted in great success. Lucas came home with a lot of stories to tell. He quickly made friends and was excited about the new things he was learning. His happiness in telling his stories filled us with pride and gratitude. He was finally finding his place in the world, we knew. We decided to go with the family to the beach, which was one of the most striking moments of our expedition. We wanted Lucas to have a magical experience with the sea, because he had never seen the sea before. We carefully planned the trip to ensure that every detail was perfect. Lucas reacted with great joy when we got to the beach. Feeling the salt in the air and the sand under his feet, he ran into the water. We spent days collecting shells, swimming in the sea, and building sandcastles. Lucas made us laugh while he was playing in the waves. Lucas turned to us one afternoon and said, "Thank you for everything. I never thought I'd be so happy." Our hearts were touched by those sincere and simple words. By bringing it to our family, we knew we had made the right choice. Life is not always easy, and there are days when difficulties seemed impossible to overcome. Lucas still had nightmares from time to time, and it was a constant struggle to deal with the ghosts of the past. However, every difficulty we encountered only strengthened our determination to give him the happiest life possible. Paul and I helped each other by sharing the burden of our responsibilities and celebrating all the small successes together. Lucas's life and ours also changed as a result of adoption. We had never had a connection as a family before, and we were deeply grateful for every moment. On a rainy autumn afternoon, Lucas surprised us with a question. "Can I refer to you as Dad and Mom?" His voice was full of emotion, and Paul and I looked at each other with meaning before giving an answer. "Lucas, of course." Paul, with his voice embroidered by emotion, said, "You are our son, and we love you very much." I was crying of joy. Of everything we've been through, that moment was the highlight. Lucas giving us his full acceptance as his parents was an invaluable gift. The memories of the early days with Lucas began to blend with the memories we created together over time. Every day offered a new chance to learn, develop, and love. Life always surprised us, and we received every moment with gratitude and joy. The truth that love has the ability to change lives prevailed over all the other things we think about our journey. The connection we made with Lucas proved that. He taught us perseverance, hope, and the strength of unconditional love. So we continue to live our lives together, fighting obstacles and celebrating every small achievement. Lucas was more than a son to us. He was the living proof that the family is formed by love and commitment to be to each other forever, beyond the blood bonds. Our connection with Lucas only deepened over time. Each stage of its development brought new challenges and experiences, but also strengthened family ties. He excelled both academically and socially at school, making friends and participating in various extracurricular activities. Paul and I always feel proud and happy to see Luke thrive. Lucas was chosen to represent his class in a science competition, and I clearly remember that. He had worked tirelessly on his project, which involved the creation of a functional model of a sustainable irrigation system. Paul and I spent several nights helping him with the technical details, and he was determined to do his best. Lucas seemed nervous and anxious on the day of the presentation. When we went to school to attend, we felt a mixture of anxiety and pride. His determination was evident when he got on stage. He responded to the jury's questions with an impressive development for his age and presented his project with clarity and enthusiasm. Lucas's name was first named when the winners were announced. He came down from the stage with a bright smile, and the room exploded in applause. Paul and I are so proud of his victory that we run to embrace him. That moment was a high point in our relationship, a reminder of how he had evolved and become a fantastic person. Lucas prospered in his artistic and academic activities. He became known for his drawings and paintings and used to exhibit his work at local art fairs. His creations always amazed us for his ability to capture the beauty of the world around him. One day when we visited an art gallery, Lucas was approached by a curator who was interested in his work. Lucas was given the opportunity to present his work at an exhibition of young, talented artists. Lucas was extremely excited about this new venture, and we fully support him. The preparation for the exhibition was done with great effort. Lucas spent hours in the studio working to improve his plays. Paul and I did everything we could to help him by organizing his works and ensuring that everything was ready for the great day. The evening of the opening of the exhibition was an unforgettable event. The gallery was full of people admiring the work of the young artists. Lucas was at the center of attention because he explained his inspirations and techniques with a maturity beyond his age. It was amazing to see the admiration in the eyes of the visitors as they appreciated his works. Lucas received many compliments and even some proposals to buy his paintings. That night was a testimony to his talent and dedication, and strengthened his faith that he can any goal he desires. As Lucas grows up, we begin to address more complex questions about his past and origins. He asked a lot of questions about his biological mother, Helena, and we knew he needed to understand this section of his story. Paul and I spent many nights talking to Luke about Helena and how important she had been to Paul. Often these conversations were exciting and difficult. Hearing about Helena, Luke became sad and curious, and we strived to comfort him and answer all his questions. So that Lucas could always have a piece of his mother, we created an album of memories gathering photos, letters, and stories about Helena. Over time, Lucas became an extraordinary young man, full of life and vitality. His passion for drawing grew, and he began to dream of becoming a professional illustrator. We support you at every stage by providing you with the support and tools you need to your dreams. Lucas was getting ready for high school before we realized. He was a talented student, always curious and interested in learning. He was appreciated by school and easily made friends. Paul and I feel very proud of every victory he has achieved. I remember a certain time when Lucas was 16. He was invited to exhibit his works of art in a nearby gallery. We were excited because it was a significant achievement for him. The gallery was full of people admiring his drawings on the night of the exhibition. Luke was radiant and his eyes shone with joy and success. Paul pulled me as we walked through the gallery, and we saw the positive reactions of people to Luke's work. Remember the day it all started, Clara? Lucas was found in that orphanage apparently yesterday. I held his hand while he smiled. Yeah, I remember yesterday. Life has brought us many surprises, but this is undoubtedly the most surprising and beautiful. Lucas joined us, the enthusiasm still shining in his face. Mom, Dad, I can't believe all this is happening. Thank you for always trusting me. Paul said to Luke, We always believe in you, Luke. You have a wonderful heart and an extraordinary talent. We're extremely proud of you. Lucas's success at the gallery was only the beginning of many other achievements. He continued to strive to enhance his talent and seek new opportunities. Paul and I were by his side in each new phase, celebrating his victories and supporting him in his difficulties. As Lucas prepared to enter college, we decided to make our last meaningful family trip before he decided to go his own way. We chose a unique destination, a remote place in the mountains, where we can enjoy the peace and beauty of nature. We spent days chatting around fireplaces, walking trails, and swimming in bright lakes. As we sat around the fire one night, Lucas looked at us with a serious expression. I want you to know how important this is to me. You gave me a life I could never have imagined, and I'm committed to making it worth it. Paul supported Luke's shoulder with his hand. Son, we know that, and we'll always be here for you, no matter where you go or what you do. Always. One of the most exciting moments of our lives was that. As a family, our connection was unbreakable, and we knew that we would always be united by the love and commitment we had to each other. No matter what happened in the future, Lucas's admission to college was a mixture of joy and sadness. Although we knew he was ready for the world, the house seemed without his living presence. We kept in regular contact, sharing stories and experiences, and celebrating their new successes from afar. Paul and I thought about the incredible journey we had made as we looked into the future. Every step of Luke's journey, from that day at the orphanage to the moment we saw him become a confident and talented adult, was a proof of the transformative power of love. So our story goes on. Lucas continues on his way, conquering the world with his talent and generosity. Paul and I know that our family is strong and resilient, so we continue to support and love our son. Life has many unexpected events, but when we are together in harmony and love, we know that we can overcome everything. And it all started with a look from a boy and an open heart to the unexpected. The journey was long and challenging, but every moment was worth it. Because the true family is the one that chooses to be together, love and support regardless of circumstances. Luke demonstrated that love can heal, transform, and form lasting relationships. Moreover, we are eternally grateful for that.